And you're live.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is the May 16th, 2023 meeting of the Akron City Tree Commission. I'm calling it to order. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes from
Yes.
the last meeting? Any questions, comments? Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Motion to.
Okay.
Second.
Second? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aiken,
Aye.
Ms. Bibiano, aye. Mr. Fusco,
Aye.
Ms. Freidenberg,
Aye.
and Ms. Wyatt has not joined us yet. The motion to approve the minutes passes 4-0.
Okey doke. Our new business is somebody we have heard from earlier, Jessica Glazowski, is the forestry, she's the lady who takes care of our watershed. I don't know your official title, but
I'm the watershed superintendent for the city of Akron.
okay. I'll write that down so I don't forget again. But so she would like to talk with us about the Forest Service Urban Community Grant Program. So take it away.
Okay. So hi. Thanks for having me back again. Appreciate it. I am working on the City of Akron's submission for the Inflation Reduction Act Urban and Community Forest Grant through the USDA Forest Service. They are giving away up to $5 billion as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. And it is very specifically targeting urban canopy, urban forestry practice, workforce development, long-term sustainability for creating and implementing some type of urban canopy program. And then also it looks at things like food deserts or the availability of fresh foods, looks at reconnecting canopy, like fragmented canopy, looks at biodiversity, and it looks at invasive species control. So there's a lot involved. The minimum award is to ask is 100,000 and the maximum is like 50 million. One of the cool things, I mean, there are a lot of cool things to me about this grant, but one of the cool things that is there's no match if this work falls solely in that Justice 40, one of those the communities. And luckily for Akron, not luckily, but for Akron in this case, we have quite a few communities that could take advantage of this funding source. So that's exciting to me that, you know, we have the opportunity to have basically a grant that has no ask, and that can tend to be a little difficult for the city if there's a cash match, for example. So I am writing this, the grant with the grant manager for the city. And I guess I wanted to give you guys a little bit of background about what we are applying for. And then hopefully if it aligns with the programs and projects that you are running, that we could get a letter of support and possibly, you know, try to collaborate with the committee or the commission to work on a little bit more of kind of the development for details for, you know, to meet some of the goals of the commission as well. So I think we're going to have a really strong application. I'm very excited. We're partnering with a wide variety of local community and businesses. One of our major partners is Akron Zoo. And so what we're intending to do is create a workforce development program. It is going to target 2 separate groups of people in 5 separate communities. So the part that that the city of Akron is kind of writing covers East Akron, South Akron, and Middlebury neighborhoods. And we are hopefully going to use, it is an ex-offender reentry program called Truly Reaching You. It's a wonderful program. If you guys have not or are not familiar with it, look it up. It's really amazing kind of the work that they do. But basically they start interviewing inmates when they are close to release. They pick them up, they give them a place to live, they give them clothing and food, and then they get them training in different work skills to help them get back on their feet, right? Once you have served your time and you are back out. What we are looking to do with them is actually develop an urban forestry training program. Right now they have construction and landscaping. And so we wanted to expand that landscaping piece to actually include some different urban forestry techniques, to get them certifications, to get them better skills, but also to serve our purposes for repairing and restoring urban canopy, especially in neighborhoods that don't have a whole lot of green space. The Akron Zoo is focusing on young adults from 18 to 24 with a very similar mission, trying to get them some training, get them some experience, and then have them contribute to restoring urban canopy as well, Sherbandy and Summit Lake areas. So those are the 5 communities that we are going to focus on for this grant. So there's the workforce development piece, which, will involve a lot of training. I think I forgot to mention this grant is a 5 years, like the length of the grant is 5 years, which is really conducive to our purposes for training, for getting, all of these things set up and really developing a robust program in each one of these communities. One of the things that we recognize is going to be a big challenge is community opinion and desires for these things. And so something that we are, another aspect of this grant is bringing in basically community liaisons to go out and talk to each of these communities and try to get an understanding of what do they want, where do they want it, as opposed to just going in and planting a bunch of trees and hoping that everyone will be happy to get community engagement. We're also hoping that a large portion of the infrastructure or the green infrastructure that we plant, trees and shrubs and things like that, can be edible. So looking at orchard development, looking at, potentially placing like berries or herb gardens, or even having new community gardens, and then teaching those residents gardening skills through different programs, as well as our public outreach, because this is also includes a large public outreach. Why are we doing this? How are we doing this? Right. It's the communication is very important in this for this to be successful. So what we're hoping is that, we can spend these 5 years improving green space in communities that maybe have limited green space, putting in different vegetation that is edible when at all possible, and then teaching people how to use that or how to take care of that in their own communities, and ultimately to create a program, at least for on the city side, that we can continue to support into the future past when this grant is done, just because we've spent those 5 years really kind of like tightening that up and making it something that is a viable project for in perpetuity. That's a lot. I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of moving parts to this. I'm really excited because I think we have some really great partners. We're going to put up air quality monitoring stations in these neighborhoods as well, so we can kind of track, are these trees effective? Are we seeing a reduction of particulate in the air? Are we seeing an improvement in that? I think, and that's the Summit County Health Department is going to donate a bunch of those sensors to us and then help us actually collect all that data and monitor all of that. So yeah, there's a lot. I'm sorry, but that's kind of the general overview.
How much are you asking for?
So I am still finalizing the budget, which I will have hopefully together in time to get to council. To get legislation in tomorrow to go to council next week. At the moment, I think that we're looking at a little over $5 million. But don't hold me to that because I'm still waiting for the Akron Zoo to get me their numbers. And so
Okay,
yeah,
about.
sure.
What's the time frame?
I would say, what's the process? How long?
Sure. So the application is due June 1st. So that's why getting the budget and the at least the framework of the application to council is critical because I know the following week is Memorial Day. So we're going to get that in on time. It's a 5-year program. We'll know by, I want to say, it says in the grant, says that we'll know within 6 months if it is going to be awarded or not. So, probably November. And then it would start at the beginning of next year, 2024. And so then it runs for 5 years. And now, that's, if we chose to, we could run it for less time. Like if we wanted to do that, but I think the workforce development piece, it's essential that we take as much time as we need to make sure that it's done right.
Right, correct.
So all 5 years.
Is this something like John Malish and John Hilkert and them boys? Will they apply for some of this grant money too?
So John Malish and I have been talking about this. I'm doing a majority of the grant writing, and then he is producing a lot of the supplemental things like developing maps on, okay, where are places that make sense to plant? What kind of planting should we do? He would be critical in like ordering equipment and supplies and kind of coordinating the on the ground effort for like where we're actually installing these on city property.
Okay, so John is essentially one of your partners.
Yes.
Okay. And I just need to step in and do something. I forgot to introduce John Hilkert. I suspect most of you know him, but he's going to be our John Malish in the future. John Malish got to the point where he just had too much to do to be able to devote the amount of time needed for the tree commission. So John Hilkert is stepping in his stead. Welcome, John. Okay. Do the commissioners, any commissioners have questions?
I have quite a few, but we're it seems like we're under a deadline. So time is of the essence, I suppose. Like who's the partners? Like to find out a little bit more detail. Like to know if there's a possibility, because this is interesting in terms of I don't totally understand. I guess I think I understand. It's primarily just workforce development. Is that what the grant's asking for?
It is a big portion. Yeah, it's a big portion of what the grant. So there are 7 goals that on a federal level for the U.S. Forestry Service had set for the next 10 years and as like goals for their planning.
Yeah.
And so what I've done is I've kind of taken each of those goals and written pieces of the grant towards those goals. But the goals are, getting green space in underserved communities, workforce development, especially workforce development within those underserved communities, trying to reconnect the community to natural spaces. I mentioned the Tri Ministries, it's Tri Ministries, but it's like truly reaching you,
Great organization.
The reentry program, when they're a partner with us, and why I think it was really important for me to get them as a partner and why we chose the specific neighborhoods that we did was that a lot of the men that move through this program live in those neighborhoods. And so I think that's a really important piece of, hey, they live there. They're going to know, they're going to talk to the community. They're going to all figure out like, hey, this is good work. We're doing good work out here. This is what we want. And then those people can be engaged in that community, probably a little bit better than like me going in and saying, let's plant a whole bunch of trees, might be received, right? Other partners that we're partnering with, Akron Zoo. So we're doing the reentry program portion of the workforce development. Akron Zoo is going to focus on underserved young adults. So there's a lot of programs that kind of focus on high school students, and then there are programs that focus on adults. But this gap between 18 and 24, that there's a workforce development gap for that. And so, they're very interested in doing some youth development in there. And I think, we had talked about, we have a big work group tomorrow that we're working on putting a lot of the details in the same document. But we had talked about, some mentorship kind of programs as well that kind of overlap from the Tri Ministries program and the Akron Zoo youth program, to kind of create some more of those connections and just workforce development, right? Learn from experience, learn from, the people that you're working with. So
It
what else?
it sounds like a tremendous and great program. And I can't speak for everyone, but we want to see this come to fruition. It's great. It just like in the future, just humbly request that we kind of get included earlier on, as opposed to, it seems like it's a bit late. I know it's a lot of work to it. And as you mentioned, a lot of moving parts, but it would have been great for us to be able to be part of, this whole process earlier on.
Yeah, I started working on this 2 weeks ago. So
Oh my.
it hadn't really
You've
come
a long
across.
way.
Yeah, I hadn't really come across my, the very beginning of May. And so, one of the first things that I did do was, reach out to Sarah and say, hey, can I come and talk to you guys about this? Because it seems like, our goals will line up really nicely. And I know time is of the essence, but I think it's really important for me and for this grant. Like, I want your feedback. I want to know how this can also be used to meet your goals and the goals of the commission, and kind of weave those together, because it's a lot bigger than just, these communities or whatever. Hopefully this is something that the city could kickstart and then expand outward. We were trying to.
Yeah, that's great. No, it's so, and 2 weeks, how far you've come in those 2 weeks. And I think I don't want to speak again for the commission, but I think it fits nicely into what we're doing. One of the concerns I have, though, is that, here in Akron, it seems as though we have so many great ideas. And I guess my question is the rollout and how it's going to, how we're going to be able to handle that piece of it. Because it seems as though we do have so many great ideas in our town. And sometimes the rollout is where we have problems. So I guess that's one of my questions. If you have any ideas at this point, or you're still putting it together, because it's going to be critical to make sure rollout is, spot on in terms of messaging and in terms of, like I said, I think this is a great idea, and hope for nothing but success. But any ideas? I mean, even though it's still in somewhat early stages on the rollout piece.
Yes. So yes, and yes, it's still being worked on. Yes, we have had some of these. So we are budgeting to hire a consultant that would be our community liaison, would do a majority of our public education, would do all of the grassroots canvassing, and like setting up these meetings, finding our stewards in the communities to help spread that message. So I do have a quote, but that's something that would be bid out, right? So Emily Collins gave me a contact for some ladies in Ohio that do this, a Black-owned business. And so they gave me a quote, and that's because I'm short on time, what I'll use. But when we get this funding, being optimistic, when we get this funding, that's something we would bid out, any of this, all the stuff in here are, some of the things need to be bid out. So, we're saying right now, well, Davy Tree will be a partner, but when we get to that point, that will also be bid out. At this point, we're really just looking for what do those costs look like. So I know that the city doesn't have the capacity to do that level of engagement. So we wanted to make sure that, and that was something, I think Emily Collins brought up to me, and I had not realized this before, but I guess there was an urban canopy restoration campaign in Detroit that went very poorly because the community had not been asked what to do. And so I was really grateful for that feedback, because it's not necessarily something that, I'm a scientist. I'm just like, oh, trees are great. Let's plant some trees. And I didn't necessarily think about like, hey, yeah, the community should be involved. And then as I thought about it more, and after I talked to these women, the group is COMN, like COMM, but then capital E, capital N stands for Community Engagement Strategies. I think it's critical, and I think it's the only way the program will succeed. There's 100% like, I need that piece for this grant to be successful. So I appreciate even having, right, I appreciate being asked that, because, it wasn't something that just popped in my mind immediately, because, I'm much more on the operations side. But yeah, that will be bid out. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And like I said, so many times here in Akron, we have such great ideas, but some rollout is where we stumble just a little bit, and great ideas don't often, take flight, unfortunately, because of some of that. And so
Right.
I'm glad thinking about that. That's a focus, because it's really important. So this is great. I think it's outstanding what the proposal is. And like I said, I'll let everybody else ask their questions, and maybe we'll circle back later on, you and I.
Sure.
Just to catch Patricia up a little bit, Jessica has been giving us a rundown. She is applying for the Inflation Reduction Act Urban Canopy Grant. And so she's been basically explaining to us about the partners. Akron Zoo is one. Did you say Davy Tree is another?
Hypothetically.
Right. And workforce development programs, urban canopy, where it's going to go, and we're focusing on underserved communities. So
I apologize for being late. As you can see, I'm in my car leaving school. We got like 10 more days, and boy, oh boy. So I apologize again for being late.
That's all
Thank
right.
you. Forget me.
Hey, so Jessica, down the road, this is long process, but so the people through this work group, they won't be city employees. They'll be outside, somebody overseeing whatever, another company will take charge.
Correct. Yes. So the grant favors a lot of funneling this money down to the community through, subcontracts basically. And so, finding community partners like Trine Ministries, the Summit Health Department, Division of Air is a partner as well. And hopefully I'm planning on the Soil and Water Conservation District as being partners as well. But yeah, the majority of the money, the grant suggests that the majority of the money that we receive as a municipality should be distributed to, I don't want to say contractors, but, to these organizations that will actually do that work. So it's not creating like city jobs, but it is using the city as a tool. Another piece of this is, getting council approval and potentially getting some type of legislation or resolution that supports improvement of urban canopy, kind of like the city committing to and saying, hey, we are on board with this, and here are our partners, and here's how we support those partners.
okay.
Beautiful.
I'd love to be able to sponsor that, by the way, Mr. Aiken, whenever it comes
When
through.
it comes across. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to sponsor that. Sounds like it's coming in Monday. So
I think she's hoping it's coming in Monday.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, she's hoping. Yes.
Well, it seems to me that we've got the easy part, which is offering a letter of support. I mean, if we can't support an urban canopy program, we may as well disband the commission. So I have absolutely no problem with putting together a letter of support. Should we send it to you or?
I think that it goes, I will forward the information, like who it actually goes to, because you'll write it
So
to
that,
the grantor. So I will get that information to you right after this.
Okay. I don't think we need to take a vote on this. It's kind of a no-brainer. We're just supporting something. Rebecca sent me an email that she wouldn't be able to be in the meeting. So if we needed a legal opinion, we could call John York. Does anybody feel as if we need to do that?
I don't think so. If you just want to take a vote just do a vote and then we don't have to worry about it.
Okay, I will entertain a motion that the tree commission send a letter of support to the grantor in support of the city's urban canopy development program.
So moved.
Second.
Do a roll call. Mr. Aiken,
Aye.
Ms. Viviano, aye. Mr. Fusco,
I
Ms. Bradenberg,
Aye.
and Ms. Wyatt.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
So do you have specific wording? Because I know grants can be kind of funny that way.
Yes. So I will send you kind of our draft, and then there are spots within the draft for, you to put in your specific information, and also, feel free to modify that, however the commission sees, right?
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I feel like
Good
this is,
luck.
I feel like this is going to be a really good one. I'm excited.
I do too. And just before you get off, I want to say that this is an opportunity for us as a tree commission to start getting out in the community. Let's not wait for the grant to show up and then go out and say, we've got this money for trees. We need to start help that public education piece now. So it's not a surprise and we don't have a lot of backlogging to catch up with. So we'll have to figure that out, but we don't need to take your time. Is that all you need from us?
Yes.
Okie doke.
All right. Thank you guys again so much. Looking forward to hopefully working with you guys on this grant in the future.
All righty.
All right. Thank you
Thank
again.
Here.
Bye.
All right. Well, I know that we have talked about our members getting out into the wards. Perhaps maybe what I need to do, Jeff, you can help with this. Start contacting ward council people and setting a time aside when they're having their group meetings to just have a spot on the agenda. I can say just about anything in front of people. It doesn't bother me, but I know other people don't like to do that. Jeff has to. But I would like us as a commission to share this duty. I mean, there are 5 of us. So is there anybody here who would not want to? Okay. And especially for you, Jim, and Sarah, I know you have issues on getting away, but we'll see if we can have some daytime meetings.
Yeah, Cameron does a daytime. Ward 7, he does daytime.
Okay. Okay. But I will work with Jeff in terms of getting a schedule, and then I'll send you an email out and you can sign up for a ward, whatever. And then we'll work together on getting the information so that we all have what we need.
That's going to be my question in terms of the messaging piece. What exactly are we going to want to, we're going to have a script or something, or
Yeah,
talking?
it would probably be best. Winging it can sometimes cause embarrassments. And so I can work on that piece of it. John Hilkert, and you might be able to help me with this, because you had said that Akron had a tree commission at one time.
Yeah. I don't remember how long ago it was. I think, Jeff, I think you were in on that too. John and I were just talking about it the other day. I bet it's been, it was definitely before COVID, maybe 8 years ago. I'm not sure, 6-8 years ago, something like that.
Well, the enabling legislation for this tree commission was passed in 2016. So it might be a little bit longer ago. The reason the reason I'm asking this is to see if there was any information left from that we might be able to rework and modernize. No.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So we'll work on that. We've got, I would like to have something, and I'm going to work on this, that we can use at the next meeting so we can approve it and start going out into the boards. And actually, with the summer, it might not be the best time. I don't know. People go away in the summer, but we'll figure that out next time. Okay.
Absolutely. I think that's great. I think there's a number of things we could just touch on in terms of that messaging piece.
Okay.
Just thinking out loud, and please, everybody, I think we should all give you some ideas, be it today or through email. And I can email you, Sarah. That might be easier. Just some ideas in terms of some of the messaging pieces.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that'd be best.
Okay. What we need are basically some tree facts as they pertain to cities, property values, quality of life, healthier atmosphere, that kind of stuff. I think we need to emphasize. So, okay, we'll work on that. Okay, next item on the agenda is, oh my goodness, the logo contest. I don't know if all of you got the submissions that we have. Those are the ones that came through the mayor's office and council president Somerville's office. So rather than have them make a choice, they made their choice, and they're going to leave it up to us, which is okay. But did everybody get them? No. Okay. Dave just went out a little bit earlier today. So part of me says, well, it's taken this long. He might not be bad if we waited for another month, but there were two designs. One, well, they are in your email. John, you might not have gotten it, but I'll make sure you get a copy. Or Sarah, could you send him a copy?
Sarah, I got a meeting with the mayor in 40 minutes. I'll see if he has picked. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think one of those came from his office.
Did he? Did it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The green and brown and white one came from Councilwoman Somerville. And I believe the orange one came from the mayor's office.
Okay, I see them. We just got them. The Akron one. Is
Yeah.
with and the Akron Tree Commission with the Let me see if you guys can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank-
Do you think we have enough time to discuss them and decide today? I wouldn't mind deciding today, but I don't want people to feel pressured. I mean, I know which one I like, but
I'm good with either one you want.
I like one too. I mean, I
Oh.
don't
Same one as her?
probably. I don't know which one she likes, but probably.
Jeff, do you have a preference?
I'm looking at them now. It just says 4 and 5, right? I'm trying to juggle here.
It came like this one. It has two of them on.
Right.
Both of them are pretty cool.
I like the second one.
I like the second one too.
It looks more urban-y.
And I like that it says Akron Tree Commission on it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And it has trees.
That
Okay.
works.
You want to take a vote? Make it official?
Okay, we're going to go with the, and I think we can probably go to the city's graphics department to professionalize that up. Right? Okay. So, Sarah, do you concur?
Yes.
Okay. I'm the odd woman out, so I like the other one simply because, you know, it was right after they announced the new logo for the city. So I thought orange, it has this, you know, I was going to suggest they add a couple more trees and put Akron Tree Commission on it, but you have spoken. So we now have a logo.
Do you want me to do a roll call vote on that?
Yeah. Okay, I'll
To adopt the second one as our tree commission. Do you want me to try to screen share it so you can see?
yeah.
Okay, let me try that. Can you see the logo?
No, you got,
Just the email itself. Okay. Let's try.
There we go.
How about now?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one I
Mr.
like.
Aiken,
Hi.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept Design 2 as the official logo of the Akron Tree Commission. Second?
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Aiken,
Hi.
Ms. Viviano, aye. Mr. Fusco.
Aye.
Ms. Vredenberg
Aye.
and Ms. Wyatt.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Well, that's one thing we can finally check off our list.
That was a long time coming.
Sure is. I will get word to the art teacher so that student can know, and we'll figure out a way to, you know, publicly acknowledge and get them their prize money and stuff like that. I could have sworn I brought my notes back. I met with James Robinson yesterday. John Malish was supposed to be there, but you know, people keep him in meetings. You can't get away. So basically what urban 330 urban okay. I'll just look. Yeah, 330 Ohio Urban Forestry. It's a company that James Robinson and I think 2 other people founded. And the basic premise is that they want to buy up publicly owned, city-owned, land bank owned, other publicly owned entities and put together, say, 5-acre parcels on which he wants to plant trees. He's already got one going in North Hill. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but it's about 3 to 5 acres that he has trees on already. And
It's off of Spalding, off of Cauga Street.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been up there, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
It's nice. Yeah. I
Okay.
know you must, but to get all that put together in between lots is the tough
Right.
part.
Right.
If you have a house, 2 empty houses, where he's at now is a dead end, so he's got it all encompassed in the back there. So it's pretty nice.
Okay. Yeah, what he described to me, because he would like to be able to place these kinds of lots in the community. They take a street that there are, they don't need to be contiguous, but there are lots that are publicly owned on which he can build a forest. It's kind of hard to think of a forest on a city lot or 3 city lots. What he was asking for from us, I think basically is that we support the idea and offer some guidance. And I'm thinking that down the road, he might want us to advocate with, say, the land bank or the city to put some of these parcels together. Is that your understanding, Jim?
Yeah, yes. And I
Yeah.
think he's approached us for a
Right,
couple of different spots that just weren't feasible at the time. It was
right,
a while, but were not feasible.
yeah.
Because some have potential to actually put a house on, so you got to be very careful where you want to plant these, you know what I mean? So to get the right spot, I think that's,
Right.
which is the hard spot, the hard thing to do.
Yeah, yeah, and I know one thing he's run into is some of the larger parcels the city wants to set aside for potential development. And it's difficult to say, no, let's not do that. So it's going to be us, I think, feeling our way. I think it's good that we have open channels of communication.
Mhm.
He is a for-profit corporation, so and I know that we as a tax-supported entity can't really come out in favor of a for-profit business, but I think there might be things that we can do behind the scenes, maybe to enable some of these things to happen. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of FYI. I don't think there's anything we need to do, particularly at this point. And that concludes our agenda. Does anybody have any comments for the good of the order?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Well, at that point, it is 2:17 and I will call the meeting adjourned.
Have a good afternoon.
Folks,
Good rest of your evening.